Hi folks, Ryan Renison here. Today I want to talk about the UK's Department of Visas and Immigration. They're appointed by the UK Home Office to make decisions on the British government's behalf. What I want to do is highlight some areas of improvement, some opportunities that are being missed out on, and these opportunities are having some negative implications on the UK society from an outsider's perspective. Best case scenario, the British government can see this and then implement these changes. Worst case scenario, it's just important to note that there are some opportunities being missed and just something to think about. In order to best identify areas of improvement, what we've done is we've come up with a list of 10 mistakes that the UKVI are currently making at the moment. And getting started, the first step is the fundamental priorities that they've listed publicly on their website. It's still under David Cameron's influence, where he insisted, or he got voted in power to reduce immigration numbers. That's what he promised. And he set that out as a mandate for the UKVI. This new party that's in power now, the new elected officials, they are contradicting that. They're saying they're going to open up immigration. And if they are serious about fulfilling that mandate, they need to relook at their priority. And what we've witnessed, a matter of interest, on how the UKVI are implementing this is they've made a high barrier to entry in terms of cost and administration. They've made a complex immigration system, which requires a lot of time, energy, and thought process to be applied in order for people to get through the border, to get through the visa hurdles. And then they've also added extremely high administration costs, way above their covering their costs, so they're actually operating on a profit, which is counterproductive to their mandates, because they're just there to fulfill the administration role. They should not be a profitable entity, but at the present they are, and the justified need for that is that they're just trying to make it difficult for people to enter. So if this new government is truly looking to open up borders, they need to relook at their costs, they need to relook at the way they set up the administration, and they need to relook at their priorities. Mistake number 2, there's no provision for foreign entrepreneurs. At the moment, the UKVI's rules no longer factor in or welcome foreign entrepreneurs. In March 2019, they closed the Tier 1 entrepreneur visa, which did facilitate entrepreneurship movements. And I've since been approached by many South African entrepreneurs with access to the capital, experience, and job creating abilities. And I have to turn them away because the lack of response to the existing infrastructure that's been put in place. The current rules that are available are for innovators and startup tech-based entrepreneurs that will be able to get venture capital firm buy-in. And venture capital firms don't have time for business owners to test market response. The current rules in place now also is that these venture capital firms have to sign up with the British government as endorsement bodies. And they're held accountable for not only endorsing businesses to enter the UK, but that these endorsements will ensure a scalable business model. If the business doesn't scale, they're held accountable for making incorrect decisions. So there's a lot of resistance and reluctance for venture capital firms to source these opportunities. And even when they're presented with the opportunities, they're not really interested. They're just looking to make a quick buck. So we've just found the current system at the moment very close-minded, and it also restricts them from being able to create job opportunities in the UK. So the UK are currently missing out on foreign investment and trade, and they're missing out on job creating opportunities. Mistake number 3 is they are restricting UK companies from sourcing overseas workforce. Still, as mentioned in the first mandate of the UKVI to reduce immigration numbers, they've made it expensive. But they've made it expensive for UK employers to get a license. And then they've made it expensive for UK employers to get certificates of sponsorship for each of the roles. Not only that, they've added time lags to getting the license. There's a good 6 to 8 week lag just to get your license to employ non-UK nationals, and then there's a delay in issuing a certificate for that role, again adding further barrier to entry to UK employers. If they identify a vacancy in their company at the moment, and they source overseas workforce that are skilled and willing to take on that opportunity, they should be given the chance to access that workforce quickly and easily, and more importantly, they should be able to access it cheaply. The fact that the government has made it expensive punishes their own economy, because now business owners have to fork out a lot just to afford to bring in non-UK nationals. It's just counterproductive on all fronts, and it's slowing down economic growth. So here is a huge opportunity for improvement should the UK government want to truly open up their borders. Mistake number 4, the separating of UK families. Now, thus far we've discussed how the UK government are restricting traditional business owners from being able to invest and create jobs in the UK. And we've also discussed how they're restricting small and medium-sized firms from being able to source workforce from abroad. Now what I want to just raise awareness of is how 10 years ago the UK government set in place some rules that made high barriers to entry for British nationals to bring their non-UK family into the UK, thereby separating British nationals from their family, just because of David Cameron's promise to reduce those immigration numbers. What's important to note is that this set of rules has been contested by the British public for some time now. They've been protesting on this, and it's just fallen on deaf ears. The UKVI are not interested in the public's best interest. They just focused on their goal to reduce numbers. What's also been interesting to see is that the UKVI have publicly acknowledged that the fees that they're currently charging are way above the administration costs that it costs them to facilitate the decision making. So with those two facts in mind, the way to fix this system at the moment is very, very simple. Acknowledge the applicant's salary, whether that's fluctuating or not, and reduce the cost. If they implement those two things, you can keep the financial threshold, so you keep a barrier to entry in terms of financial affordability, but at least allow British nationals to bring their family members in cheaply and easily. Mistake number 5, delayed decisions. Thus far we've described and discussed some policy issues, but now we want to look at more practical mistakes that they're making, and the first one we're going to be looking at is this delayed decision that the UKVI are currently doing. Now we understand that they've just come in through a period of the Russia's invasion to Ukraine and having to prioritize Ukrainian nationals, and we also understand that this is a post-pandemic recovery and the workforce has been slow to return. And if 2019 sets the standard of what visa applications can be processed, or the time that visa applications can be processed in, we're gradually seeing that work permits and student visas are being returned to those reliable times. So too are visitor visas. But at the moment, what the UKVI are taking a very slow return to look at is the family visas. 6 months to make a decision on uniting a family is just unacceptable. That's half a year that you have to spend away from your family members, your loved ones. It's just unacceptable. So again, the UKVI seem to be focusing on the financial elites and those that are going to just add economic value to the application, and they're not operating in the public's best interest in terms of acknowledging family needs. So if they can rectify this, and I'm sure they're going to in time, it will just help streamline and unite families quicker. Mistake number 7, tracking transparency. So continuing on with our theme of practical implications, what we're going to be discussing now is the tracking facility. Again, this is exaggerated, this need or this mistake, because the British government have been taking so long in making decisions in visa applications this year in 2022. And so what we're finding is a big lash or a big wave of complaints that the tracking facility is not easily accessible. You have to log in through payment confirmation emails, or you have to know your online application account, which a lot of the older generation struggle to access. And then when they do eventually log in, all the status confirms is that the application has been received by the DMC. The solution to this would be simple. Just set up a stage breakdown of decisions. You don't have to go into detail exactly what that stage implicates or consists of, but at least just give the visa applicants some peace of mind to know that it's progressing through the various stages, and then at least they know that it can, if it's stuck in one stage, that there's one element that is which element it is that's holding them back. So if the UKVI can just give more transparency in their tracking, it will reduce the amount of queries that they receive. Again, also if the UKVI make the tracking facilities more easily accessible, again, they will receive a bigger reduction in the amount of tracking requests. Mistake number 7, doubling the NHS contributions. So I'm not sure if the UK public are aware of this, but the British government insist upon a compulsory immigration health surcharge. It's part of the visa requirements that foreign nationals have to contribute towards the NHS upfront for the duration of their visas. And from my perspective, I think it's a brilliant move. And I commend the UKVI for coming up with this, because it makes sure that they get paid to cover any foreign nationals making use of the NHS. But at the same time, what's happening at the moment is that NHS contribution is ignored, because foreign nationals still have to make NHS contributions upon arrival in the country for the NI contributions, so the national insurance payments. In essence, what's landing up happening is that foreign nationals are not only paying up front to contribute towards NHS, but then they have to continue to make payments. And at the end of the day, they're paying twice for that access to national health. Mistake number 8, TB tests. Here, the UKVI are claiming that there is a threat to the UK public interest, which is the first time now that they're operating in the public's interest. And they're saying that TB can cause a lot of damage from high infected areas, and they've identified areas that have still TB as a problem. The counter argument to this from their own NHS website confirms that actually TB is easily treatable with a round of antibiotics. So even though the NHS is not concerned about it, the UKVI have taken it as a public threat. And in doing so, they insist for visa requirements of those looking to stay in the UK for longer than 6 months. The expectation is that foreign nationals from infected areas have to get a certificate to confirm they are no longer infected. But rather than getting a certificate from their local GP, which is not accredited, foreign nationals have to get a certificate from an accredited institution. And what lands up happening is that foreign nationals are now paying 3 times what a local rate would be for a TB check. Like I said, it's easily treatable with a round of antibiotics. To me, the most interesting thing about this is if the UKVI actually looked at the test results of the amount of applications they receive for TB checks versus the infection rate, they will see that 99% of the applicants, especially my own represented clients, over thousands, have all had their TB cleared first time round. We have yet to experience an infected applicant. and as the public should know, it is easily treatable. So at this stage, I think it's a little bit of a money-making racket, and it's delaying applications, and it's just adding unnecessary administration. So I would highly recommend that the UKVI relook at this. Mistake number 9, tourists are being interrogated. The UKVI have understandably been one of the first few first world countries to create online applications, which was a major advancement, and again, I'm very impressed with the way that they've adapted to technology. But what they've gradually done is just made continual improvements to their application, and they're constantly adding to the application. But what they've forgotten to do is to relook at the UX, the user's experience, and they have just focused on their own needs in terms of understanding the complexities of each individual's case, and they've asked to scrutinize very personal and sensitive information and historic information that people don't hold on to or don't have easy access to. So to expose your tourism to a lot of administration, a lot of cognitive load, just to come and visit, it's not a welcoming or appreciated experience. If anything, it's unnecessarily violating in terms of exposure to your personal information. So all I'm just trying to say is, at number 9, the UKVI need to relook at the UX that users are going through in terms of how much information they're actually asking, and how much of it actually is relevant, and how much of it actually will actually help them in their decision making. The last mistake number 10, this one is admittedly biased, but what I just need to raise awareness with the UKVI is the inclusion of agencies. Thus far, what the UKVI have done in the past 10 years is gone on a campaign, public relations campaign, to say that immigration advisors are not needed, and that they are their system is user-friendly and it's designed for the public to easily engage upon it. But at the same time, they've set very complex rules with high risk of refusal, and that high complexity adds to the applicant's cognitive load, and those that can afford to reduce cognitive load and to get a second opinion on their application can do so, and have been doing so. So all I'm just trying to say in this final point is the denial of the need for UK immigration assistance is counterproductive to actually the market that exists and the amount of applications that have been represented. What's also interesting to note is that the UKVI are continuing on their path to technological advancements, and in 2025 we're expecting to see the move of e-visas and app-based visa applications, which is very exciting to see because it's going to bypass the need for physical passports to be introduced in the visa application, and it'll also mean that applicants can apply for and pay for their visas straight from their mobile device. They'll have their biometrics captured on their mobile device, and they'll cross through the border with their mobile device as evidence of them being who they say they are, which is way more secure and user-friendly. All I'm just trying to say in this final point is that I do hope with this latest advancement that the UKVI make provisions for the inclusion of agencies in that advancement. How are agencies going to be able to facilitate that mobile interaction? It's just something that I just recommend that the UKVI consider in terms of everyone's best interest in the future going forward. Just a recap, folks, on the 10 steps. The first one being that the priorities of the UKVI are to reduce immigration numbers. Maybe they need to look at that. That foreign businesses and traditional business owners are not being welcomed into the UK economy. That they're restricting the access to foreign workforce. that they are separating families in their visa requirements, that the delayed decision making is also continuing to exacerbate or add to the separation, that the tracking facilities need to be more transparent, and that applicants or foreign nationals are paying twice as much for the NHS than locals, and maybe they just need to relook at that. TB tests, the actual practical implications, is it even necessary? Why are you doing that? You need to relook at that. And then in the visitor visas, your tourism, that you receive about 11 million applicants a year. Do you have to interrogate everyone so thoroughly? Surely that you can make that a lot more user friendly and a lot more appealing to engage upon. And then the last one, obviously my biased one, is to deny the need for immigration advisors. Is that really in the public's best interest? And hopefully you can include us in your new developments with the e-visas. And that's it, folks. For now, I just want to create awareness that there are some areas of improvement that the UKVI need to consider, and hopefully they'll take some of this advice and implement some great solutions going forward.